That would be every stat. I'm just so good at
Morning, everybody. I am recording, just so you know, I'm recording this so that you guys have a little bit of reference to some of the things we're going to talk about. Before we get into the research that I want you to start doing, I wanted to follow up on who needs access to the survey locker to complete their service. Okay, when are you guys planning on going? Thursday morning? Okay.
we have ours done. People rather take it now and then simply get started on it.
I will address that as soon as I'm done figuring out. You guys still have work to do? They're looking at Thursday morning. When are you all looking at?
Thursday.
What's that?
Thursday.
So you get the keys. You'll get the keys off back through less. Okay, so can your group coordinate with Joanne Bella's group to get access to? Now, you're not using the same data collector, or are you? So you guys have more. We are still okay to have everybody's survey done Friday, right? So I'll get the data collectors on Friday, and everybody's survey is going to be done by Friday. Okay, so your question, the points, I can't, you guys, hello? So I can't really take the data collector unless I know which data collector you had and the other group that had the corresponding one says they're done and I can download both files. Okay. But if they still need it, is any group completely done? Okay. Do you recall which data collector you had? What color ribbon were you?
It was yellow one.
There's two yellow. Well, there's three yellow ones. There's a big yellow one, and there's. You're talking the ribbon was yellow.
The ribbon was dark green.
The ribbon was dark green. So you're done. So I can take that data collector and download that.
Where done we used to Trimble, the yellow, neon yellow one thing, the ribbon.
The big one, the big
Yeah.
Trimble. But you guys are still working on that. What group?
White ribbon.
White ribbon?
The small one.
Is the white ribbon crew done? Okay. I'm just gonna download everything this weekend, so you'll all have your point file first thing Monday. And I'll do some tutorials on how you get the point file imported in CAD and how you can start connecting the dots. So, okay. The semester project. Okay. I'll have a sheet that's going to explain things in a little more detail, but the background for the semester project is you guys are going to do your own subdivision. Okay. You'll be given an existing features plan. We're going to go over some of the basic commands in CAD that you're going to need, but there's a research component to this. Okay. Some of this I'm going to give you, some of this you're going to have to go out and search for on your own. I am recording this, so I'm going to show you where to start looking for things. Okay. You have the municipal ordinances to look at. So I talked about ordinances a little bit. What are ordinances? Does anybody remember? Local governing laws. They tell you what you can and can't do with your property. That's everything from commercial development to residential. Okay, so what we're going to look at, what we're going to start looking at is the site that I have selected for you to do a subdivision. So if we go to Google Maps and we zoom in on the west side of Allentown. Right? I'm sorry? Okay. So yes, the project site's within a couple miles of Dorney Park. So what I am going to give you is this plan. So this is called an existing features plan. Okay, so you can see there's an existing subdivision with a cul-de-sac. You see the, looks like a thermometer almost. You come in and that's the end of the street, and turn around. Okay. There's a road here. The road there is called Elbow Lane, as in yes, your elbow. And the other road is Riverbend Road, down here. So you'll have this plan. You can go to Riverbend Road and Elbow Lane. So there it is. Okay. So here's the turnpike here. That's the Pennsylvania Turnpike. Riverbend Road kind of loops around. And right here is our project.
Is there a designated entrance road, or are we gonna need to come up with that?
Okay, let's take a look at the existing features plan. So can you go across private property? No, you can't. Okay, so on this plan, what you can see is there's some existing houses already here and along here. But you see this? That's access to the road. Okay. So you have access to the road right here. And then you have the whole field, and this is the turnpike. Can you do an entrance off the turnpike?
Not easily.
Not easily, exactly. More specifically, the turnpike is a special kind of highway called a limited access right of way, and it's exactly what it sounds like. You need to prove that you deserve some sort of offer. And a small subdivision, a small scale subdivision isn't going to fit the bill. Everybody follow this? Kind of, sort of. So then over here, the limit is right here, this property line. And then you have an existing house here, and then you have this piece. So you'll have access to this CAD file. What are these little lines here? Contour lines. Right? These are 1 foot contours. Okay. So you can start by going to the municipal website. So this is Lower Macungie Township. Okay. So what we're going to do Lower Macungie Township in Pennsylvania. They have their own website. They actually have a pretty sophisticated website. Some more rural municipalities don't have their own ordinances. They go by county ordinances. They let the county kind of dictate. If they do have their own ordinances, like they still only have paper copies of them. They don't have their own website. So different municipalities are kind of further along in developing stuff like this. Okay. A, because of funding, B, because of population. So this is the front end of their website. So all of the things that you're going to need to research are either on this website or on DEP's website. So I'm going to go over the municipal stuff first. Is everybody kind of following along so far? Actually, let's press pause first. I had talked a little bit on Monday about the plan, about the pros and the cons of same format as the last exam versus a multiple choice. If you haven't had a chance to sort of speak your mind, but you don't want to do it in front of the class or, right now, we can kind of postpone this discussion till Friday, or we can discuss it now. Should we discuss it now or wait till Friday? Show of hands for now. Show of hands for Friday. Okay, the now's happening. Okay. Everybody feel comfortable? Like, do we want to discuss it or do we just want to put it to a vote?
Discuss.
Okay. So what would you like to discuss about?
You guys heard my opinion before.
I did, and there's definitely, you're right, you have pros and cons.
I went through with other people.
Yeah, I like to hear people, like others are either against it or like other reasons.
Is anybody vehemently opposed to a multiple choice? Okay, so some people, how many people like the format of the last two exams? That's pretty overwhelming. Do we still want to discuss it if that's the case? I'm fine with that, but I also, like, the last page of the exam, I'm trying to get feedback from all of you, because how can I change it if I don't know that it's broken, so to speak?
I could support an increase of multiple choice questions without eliminating free response entirely.
Okay, so make it less lengthy. So only do one of the 18-point problems and then have a bigger multiple choice section.
Possibly, maybe not down to one. I mean, what was the last test? Like 85% was free response and 15-ish was not.
Really, the only front page was
Right.
a few multiple choice and a few true false.
Right, maybe double the size, so 30% is multiple choice.
I was gonna say maybe.
Okay, hang on a second. I want to hear what everybody has to say. Let's go with.
Maybe, so the last two exams, there was like a couple, like free response on the plan.
Yeah.
Maybe like keep those, but make them multiple choice and have, so like you still do all the work and everything, but then like if your answer is correct or wrong, so like,
That's what we do.
I think that's better.
Some people think it's better, some people think it's worse, because some people start second guessing themselves.
That and partial credit. I mean, if it's multiple choice, unless you're gonna like weirdly grade us on partial credit for a multiple choice question.
Okay, truth be told, right, now you guys have to be honest. You said about, well, grading it weird. Have I graded anything weird or unfair? Don't be afraid to say yes, because if you say yes, I need to know that.
No, however, if you make a big long question multiple choice, then you either have to grade it like for partial credit on a multiple choice question. It seems sort of not, it's unconventional. I've never seen it done before.
Right.
Or you put all your beans into one answer. You can't really get multiple. You can't get partial credit. That's what
Now, before we lose touch, I think Kaylee had something she wanted to say, but I didn't.
I was just gonna say that I think the solving, like the problems with the solving are slightly more representative of what we've learned. So if you increase the multiple choice, I think there shouldn't necessarily be more just like conceptual ones, because I feel like those are less representative and kind of harder to prepare for.
So with that said, and with that in mind, this last section is going to be like the problem solving stuff is going to be more CAD based, sorry, like the semester project. Whereas on the test, we're going to go over vertical curves and how to calculate stuff manually. But for the most part, vertical curves are done in profiles in CAD. So there's going to be a lot more conceptual stuff. Like we're going to talk about deeds and we're going to talk about ordinances. We're going to talk about. So the material is going to lend itself more to multiple choice.
Then I think that would just automatically make sense for slightly more multiple choice, if that's more of the focus of what you're in.
So it's correct to say that you and Davis are kind of on the same page, just increase the number of.
I mean,
Hearing that,
as long as it's like, if it's representative of what we're learning.
That's, yeah.
Okay. Jules, you need to-
I was gonna say, I agree after hearing that.
yes.
I think better to have, like, would be all like the problem solving, not the multiple choice. So like, you just have like, more.
More multiple choice, less problem solving, but don't make the problem solving ones multiple choice.
Yeah, that was.
I'm getting a lot of head nods. Is there any dissenting opinion? Look, this is your class as much as it is mine, so make your voice heard, advocate for yourself. Okay, I want to look at some of the last page because there's some stuff on there that I was asking questions about that has absolutely nothing to do with land development and survey, but is very important in my opinion. Jules.
Oh, it's not really important, I think, but like the last page you talked about like inclusion and equity, stuff like that, and I was just thinking like.
Where does this come from?
No, I was thinking like, one of the things I wrote down was that maybe we're like classwork with each other and stuff. Because like, I think that's the best way I learn personally,
Let's look at it, because I left it a bit, but where do we stand on the writing the extra credit questions?
Yeah, pretty clear as the last one.
So pretty clear.
I'm kind of leaning towards no.
Okay, that makes sense. Understand. All right.
Um,
Yeah, it's all right.
if everybody agrees, can Nico write, I'll say 3 extra credit, general knowledge questions at the end of the exam? Show of hands, yes.
That is a.
Show of, okay.
That is not.
Show of hands, no.
Wait.
I don't care. Extra credit.
Let him write 3 extra credit questions. They're not gonna have, they can only improve it. Well, I can't hear what.
It's gonna be like Goosebumps for my own throat.
Are they replacing? Could be other.
They're not replacing it.
Then yeah, let them shot at it.
I'll make a list of 15, you choose 3. That way I know we can-
Are you still no?
I mean, as long as they're not all sports.
They don't want to be on sports. None of them will ever be sports. Well, pick animals and Roman history.
Okay.
Animals and Roman
Wait,
history.
what did you like? Okay, I was gonna say random fun fact.
You don't, it's extra
Nothing,
credit.
I was gonna say.
Yeah,
random
go
fun
nuts.
fact, but-
Okay, let's get back to ordinances. So the final is gonna be more similar to the last test format.
Always.
Difference being there's going to be more multiple choice at the front end and fewer conceptual write-in problems. We're all in agreement?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, back to ordinance research. One of the things that you're gonna wanna find first is where's Waldo? Where is this piece of property in the municipality? Okay, so one of the things that all municipalities have is different departments, right? So if you go to the zoning department, does everybody see where I went? Departments, zoning, go to the zoning department. Okay. What I don't like about this website is you see how they have these radio buttons over here? It kind of blocks out the left ribbon. Like, okay, put that on the right or make it such that you can see both things, but it's just a quirk in the website. Zoning map. You want to look at the zoning map. Okay, why do you want to look at the zoning map? Yes, but also, you see down here, these little legend letter designations. We're going to talk about that. So if we take a look at this map and zoom in, notice that the north arrow, this thing is rotated this way. So if you're looking at Google Maps on one page, like the orientation is going to look different. You gotta imagine this being rotated. Make sense? So can anybody tell where the turnpike is on this map? Yeah. Right, the big straight line going right up through the map, right? Yep. So right here. Okay. Now remember, Riverbend Road, kind of like a horseshoe. Anybody see our property? Huh? You mind coming up and point there? Yeah. Right there. There's our little existing subdivision, our little thermometer. There's the site. And we own this piece down here too. And we own both sides of this. Does anybody know what that little two-sided extension out to the road is called? Sorry? In survey lingo, they used to call those flag lots. You had a piece of property, but to get back to it, you needed some access way. So they called them flag lots because they kind of look like a flag. So this isn't really flag shaped, but that right of way, that access way gets you out to the road. So you can develop this piece of property. Okay. All right. Let's take a look here. Anybody know what this purple S means here and here and this SR? Anybody know what that is? Exactly. Everybody hear what Davis said? What it is zoned for. So you split up property based on zoning. Okay. Different zoning classifications mean you can do different things. Agricultural preservation. Anybody think we could do a subdivision on that lot if it was an ag pres? No, because it's exactly what it sounds like, right? It's meant to take it out of the development pool and be preserved. Rural, semi-rural, commercial. Would it make sense to do a residential subdivision in a commercial zone? No. Is it uncommon to have one zoning on one side of a road and another zoning on another side of the road? Is it good planning? You can argue back and forth as the day is long. But there's plenty of examples of a residential subdivision right on the other side of the road from huge 1 million square foot warehouse XYZ. And sometimes 1 million square foot warehouse XYZ has a really, really bright color to it. Yeah. Are you going to that zoning meeting and saying, I don't want that? Then you have suburban industrial Orlick. Orlick is an acronym. It's basically like a light industrial, I forget the exact name for it, but it's an acronym. It's kind of like light industrial and research. So think of emerging technologies type businesses. And then, so our property is zoned what? Suburban. Okay. So now you know where the property is. You know what it's zoned. In the township, in the ordinances, You have a zoning ordinance and a subdivision and land development ordinance. Subdivision and land development ordinance is an acronym called SALDO, SALDO. Okay. So I'm gonna go back to the website. See where it says Code of Ordinances? Now, you're gonna get overwhelmed here, but I don't want you to be overwhelmed because you're only looking for two things. It's gonna ask you, do you want to leave the site? Because they have their own ordinances uploaded on this E-code website. It's like a third party. They pay money to have their stuff digitally available online. Some rural municipalities, you'd be like, okay, their ordinances aren't online, you call, and if they don't really do much development, you might get an older retired person. Oh, no, you have to call so-and-so and they'll make you a copy of it for $30. Yes, it still happens. Not everything's digital yet. It's getting there. So then, okay, where are the ordinances? And you see where it says municipal code? All of your ordinances are under there. Oh my gosh. Anything related to animals, code enforcement, fire protection. Any of this sounding familiar? No, that's why you can ignore. Okay. Housing, licenses, permits, reserved, general businesses. I'm sorry, Jordan, do you have your hand raised or would you like to kind of stretch? Anybody see anything of interest yet?
Subdivision.
Aha. Saldo. So, chapter 22A, you want that one? Okay, and you want to look at it. And does anybody see anything else interesting?
Zoning.
Zoning, Kayla, what were you saying?
I'm sure the answer is
Taxation? Yeah, well,
probably useful for
that's for what we're doing. Absolutely useful if you lived in Lower Mackenzie Township or you wanted to move to Lower Mackenzie Township and find out what the tax rates are. Okay. You have to look at both. Obviously, you're not going to look at both simultaneously, but you have to look at both. Let's go to zoning first. You can go to Saldo first, just to kind of get a lay of the land. But if you click on this, it also has the zoning map at the front end of what it gives you. So they have use tables and charts. They have typical layouts. They have sign heights, roadway classifications. All of this is going to be important to you. So what I want you to do by Friday is look at these ordinances, the zoning ordinance and the SALDO, and kind of get a lay of the land. So let's go to the tables and charts quick. So if you scroll down, see how you have your suburban residential district. It gives you the purpose of that district, uses permitted by right. Ooh, fancy Nancy language.
Wait, what did you
Julie.
put that together?
But I just scrolled down.
Oh.
I just scrolled down to. I'll scroll back up to go to the charts in a second. Fancy Nancy language, lawyers, right? If I follow the letter of the law in the zoning and the SALDO ordinance, can my application be denied? I follow the letter of the law and I can prove that I'm being denied approval because they don't like it. Everybody see how that's kind of difficult to prove? So there's kind of a gray balancing act in between. So the municipality could say, we think we have a health and safety issue with the traffic that's going to be done. We want you to do a traffic study. We want a traffic. We want, oh, you're going to do a warehouse. Well, that means there's going to be trucks. You need to do a noise study. So can it be something way out of left field? Probably not. But it defines what is permitted by right, meaning if you own the property, you have a right that you can use it, develop it as you see fit. Okay? And then they have uses permitted by different conditions. So they can grant you the use, but they can put conditions on that. Let's say there's something that makes sense, but isn't up here. They have a clause called a special exception. And it's just what it sounds like. Like, we'll allow it, but in this situation, we're allowing it for this reason. It kind of gives them a mechanism by which they can say, yes for you, but no for you. Yes for you because you're my favorite daughter, and no for you because. So then it gets into accessory uses. Okay, you own a house, you want to build a shed. A shed is an accessory. Swimming pools are accessories. Fences are sometimes considered accessories. Yeah.
In San Francisco, you have 120 square feet of accessory there. Before you have to get the building permit.
There you go. Different municipalities have different requirements as far as what triggers a building permit. Different municipalities have different requirements as to what triggers a drainage system. So you're making a building that's impervious, right? It's no longer grass. You're changing the land cover, which means you're doing what to the runoff? You're increasing it, right? You're increasing both rate and volume. So anything above 10,000 square feet of additional impervious coverage, you need to start looking at drainage controls. Okay. I want you to start looking at this and see how that fits in with looking at a subdivision. Let's go up and look at these tables because there's some interesting and useful information. So it goes through what is allowed. Is forestry allowed? Are medical offices allowed? So yeses, nos, C's are, yes, it's allowed, but it's conditional. So they'll allow it based on special conditions, right? So these are all the different kinds of uses that are classified. So let's go down to suburban and let's go to requirements.
So zoning ordinances are the one, like, they're only allowed for, they're allowed to tell you what, like, what you can use the property for.
Correct.
Subdivision ordinances aren't.
Subdivision is more, we're gonna build a road and the road needs to meet this specification.
Okay.
So saldo is more spec on public improvements. Zoning is what you can do with the property.
So where would, I'm just like curious,
Yeah.
like painting the color of your house? fall
Zoning.
Zoning?
Yeah. So you can't paint your house hot pink.
Because when I was little, I'd always be like, I want an aqua blue house, I can't do that. Right. I'm a fly.
They won't let it. That's in the zoning.
There's a purple house now, across from my grandma's.
So
Like this.
sometimes, like, there's a little bit of look the other way. Sometimes it's the neighbors need to sort of blow the whistle and say, I really don't like it when things in the front yard. Right, so I'm just, so like one neighbor gets mad and calls the other neighbor and then the zoning officer gets involved and they're like, well, we really don't have anything in the ordinance. Yes, it looks tacky, but no, we can't do anything, but like. So there's some gray areas. Well, did I? Yeah. Jules, did I answer your question?
Yes.
This stuff is going to be important for your development. Very important for your development. Lot area with building coverage and height restrictions. Can you build a 5-story house? Physically, you could. Can you do it based on the ordinance? No. Okay,
Well, is
Prince-
there a minimum height per story?
no,
Stack your floors.
well,
Close together.
we'll, that's a good question, but we'll get to that in a second. Okay. So everybody understands what a single family detached dwelling is. If I had something that was called a twin, everybody follow what that is? There's a common wall between the two halves of the house and your neighbor owns one side, you own the other side. Townhouses,
Yeah, duplex.
duplexes, townhouses, they're different types. This is a standalone house. It's not connected to anything else. Okay. The minimum lot area is 12,000 square feet. So it's about a quarter of an acre. What's 12,000? Somebody get out a calculator. What's 12,000 divided by 43,560?
So a little bit less than a third.
Correct. Point what? So it's a little more than a quarter of an acre.
I'm confused on what minimum lot area is. Like,
So you can't have a lot that's smaller than 12,000 square feet.
oh, for that single family detached dwelling.
Right.
Okay,
And you're gonna do a design for single family detached dwellings.
okay.
That's what all of the lots are gonna be. So it needs to be a minimum 12,000 square foot. Each of your postage stamps, each of your lots has to be 12,000 square feet. Everyone with me so far? Can I make a lot that's 12,000 feet long and 1 foot wide? Technically, you
No.
could, but it doesn't fit the ordinance.
No.
The minimum lot width has to be at least 80 feet. We're all big engineers and we've all done enough math. If the minimum width, sorry, Jordan, you got a question?
I have a question. Is
Yeah.
that like at like its narrowest point? Or-
Yes, and at its narrowest point. So if you have a lot that is kind of like pie shaped, going around a curve, it's at its narrowest.
Like, what if the lots already existing? They're narrower than that?
If the lot is existing and the zoning came after, it's a pre-existing condition. They're not gonna make you buy your neighbor's property to make it fit the code. So pre-existing conditions aren't, you can't go back and say, you have to fix this.
Could they also retroactively unzone it for housing if it's?
You could, but that starts getting into a whole bunch of legal stuff that doesn't have a whole lot to do with surveying. Yes, you could. Okay. Yes, you could do a subdivision and break stuff into 50 lots. And then you can do a lot consolidation and put it all back together. Does it make sense? No.
Because I know when they build neighborhoods and stuff, they'll sell the lots, and people can buy 2 lots next to each other and build a gigantic house.
What you don't see is the municipality will make that person do a lot consolidation plan. Right? Because technically, if you own 2 pieces, and technically, if you built the house in such a way that the main wall straddles, you can sell that to somebody else. So municipalities aren't gonna let you play that game. They're gonna make you, okay, take those 2 lots, consolidate them into one, and then you can absolutely make it bigger. Okay. Building coverage, 20% of the lot. So can you build a 10,000 square foot house?
No.
Nope. Not on one floor, any. Maximum impervious coverage. Does everybody know what impervious coverage is?
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's like sidewalks, driveways, the house. Basically anything that the water can't soak into. Technically, impervious, it's 98% is what it's counted as, so 2% of that seeps in. So like, if you notice like a driveway, after it rains, the driveway kind of dries out. Some of it's evapotranspiration, but some of it is it's soaking down in. So paving is a little porous, but not much. It's not like porous concrete.
If you use porous concrete, is that counted as?
I am glad you asked that. Remind me when I get to the section on DEP.
Okay.
Remember what you asked me about, can I make each of my floors 20 feet tall? maximum structure height. There you go. So the maximum overall structure height is 35 feet. Can you make one floor 35 feet high? Sure. Can you put 6 floors in 35 feet high? Yeah, if you want to. They don't care so long as it fits the bill. Are you going to be able to do it? No, because building codes.
Can't you like cheat a little bit and like build it to the ground a bit, just like 35 feet in there?
So you're going to be one of those guys.
Well, I already am. one.
So we need to talk about ethics.
Ethics.
Yes.
It's my plan.
I mean, like a step
Yeah,
down,
but you need to follow the rules.
That's
because
what I'm
you are
saying. It's
Like-
35 feet above,
like the big
That,
house.
that's what
Or
my,
like-
35 feet is 35 feet.
above the ground, yeah.
Yep.
I like that.
So like the big house.
so does that,
Where it's like dug
so
into the
basically
ground.
is included?
It's what's exposed. So does everybody know what I mean by a walkout basement?
Yeah.
So the back of the house, like, so you have an 8-foot basement. The back door comes out at grade, but then the front door comes out at first. So 10, 12 feet kind of drops off across the lot. The 35 foot, you have to read the ordinance. Some of them, it's whatever's exposed on the back of the house is the 35 feet. Some of them, it's at the front of the house. So when you're on the street facing the house, if that's 35 feet, you're okay.
And does that include like roof peaks?
I tell you, this stuff is so much.
So cluster development, you're not dealing with that. Are we doing a golf course? No. Are we doing anything agricultural? We doing a school? How about a place of worship? What do you got to worry about?
Single family dwelling.
There you go. So that's what you're looking at. Take a look at the ordinances. Okay. Why did I ask you to look at the ASCE Code of Ethics? Davis, I really do want you to remind me to bring back up pervious concrete when I get to DEP. I don't know that I'm going to get to it today, but on Friday, remind me. Okay. Why did I ask you to look at the ASCE Code of Ethics if we're doing a subdivision? What's that? Well, let's take a look at it. Who looked at the Code of Ethics, honestly? 3 people? Fantastic. All right, I suggest you look at it by Monday. Wink, wink, nod, nod. So there's a preamble. What is the overarching theme with the code? What is most important in your opinion about the code? Public safety, betterment of society,
I would say like safety and well-being.
safety and well-being, hold paramount. Safety and well-being of the general public. So the code is split into your responsibilities to society, the natural and built environment, profession, clients, employers, peers. The people that did read it. Why am I bringing this up now with respect to you doing a subdivision? All right, are we talking about, hey, Caleb? Yes.
So we understand the different things we have to keep in consideration.
Right. Can you think of one that you're exactly right and on where I want to go? But can you think of where I was kind of alluding to with this? Natural and built environment. What does that say? What I don't like about this is they lead you off with strong language, right? You have a responsibility to the natural and built environment to adhere to the principles of sustainable development, right? That means it's something you should and must do in your subdivision, okay? But then they back off on it. Well, you should consider and balance. So this is, you have to do it. This is, Think about it. You don't have to do it, just think.
Well, isn't that including, because, like, given the size of the lot, like, it's kind of like the engineers have to work they have.
That's a good question. What is your responsibility? Is it to your client? Is it to the code? Is it to just follow the letter of the ordinance? Because what is developer ABC gonna want out of this lot? This vacant lot, what are they gonna want? Which, how do you get money? They want as many lots as they can get. Does that fit with this? Maybe it could. Sorry, somebody else had their hand. Yeah.
I was gonna ask before, like, is a 12,000, like, is that lot like a humane, like, living, like, sign, like, sometimes I like drive by houses that I'm like, how is that allowed? Like, is it so small and the property so small? So technically, it's not like really up to us.
You bring up an interesting question because different people at different times are going to require